Hey everyone, today we have a beginner's guide on Borderlands 4. We are getting near the holidays and I decided to drop this video as it is a bit later than usual compared to most content creators that are covering this game. I just want to share my personal tips and tricks with you all for those who are new to the Borderlands series or for those who just got into the game. If you've been playing this game or if you're a veteran player, feel free to share in the comment section down below, as I always like everyone in the comments helping each other out, as I do believe we all have different playstyles or find something different that can help us out. Remember to hype up the video, as it's a new feature on YouTube to help push the video much further into the algorithm, but also dropping a like. If you enjoy variety of video games, feel free to subscribe. Any support to the video and channel is very much appreciated. And let's get right into it. Tip number 1. Progress the main story until you receive your vehicle. The biggest reason why you should do this is simply it will help you navigate through these big open world maps much more quickly and easily. It doesn't take too long either to obtain it, so ignore all the side quests and keep progressing the main story until you get your vehicle. Once you have it, you are free to do whatever you want, and don't worry about being on foot majority of the time. I want to mention as well that you can spawn your vehicle almost anywhere. The game will clearly tell you if you can't spawn it in. So keep note of it, as it could help you maneuver around the zone. You could also use its weapons against these mobs, or can help you give a slightly higher jump if you know how to dismount from the vehicle correctly. The second tip is turn on the mini radar and long navigation. In the game settings, there is an option to turn on the mini radar, which shows where the enemies are at. The game defaults you to only have the compass on, and it's honestly not the best thing to rely on. The mini radar really helps you to spot the enemies, as sometimes they blend in with their environment, and there will be situations if you go down, you could have a difficult time searching for them to get that second wind. So having that mini radar on really helps to get a general location on where they are all at. Another thing is to turn on the echo navigation to long. When you are first introduced with the echo navigation, it shows a guideline to your destination in the overworld, but the problem with this is that it turns off a bit frequently, and you would have to wait for a little cooldown for your echo to show where to go again. Although having it long could have flaws as well, at least when it's turned on and shows the right way on where to go, you don't have to worry a lot about constantly pressing it for the navigation guide to show up. I will also show a segment on how to use the map and compass properly later in this video, so stay tuned. Tip number 3. You could always change the difficulty on the fly. If things seem to get tough and you just want to get through with the game, you could always change the difficulty settings in the main menu, or if you are playing solo, you could always change it during the pause menu, and everything is all located within the session setting. I do want to note that playing on the hardest difficulty will have more benefits, such as having better spawn rates for your loot quality, meaning that you could have a bigger chance on having a legendary weapon or item spawn in random areas within the whole entire map, or from defeating a boss. Also, the scaling for how enemies and yourself take damage. If you are always exploiting the enemy's weaknesses, you will do much more damage compared to easy and normal mode. The downside in hard mode is, of course, you will take much more damage compared to the other two difficulties, meaning that it can be a rough start when initially starting out your playthrough. But I believe anyone could get used to it, especially once you start having better gear. Funny enough, tip number 4 is to always loot. There's always a chance for a legendary. Even though some parts of the map don't seem like they have an incentive to go to, always explore and open up some chests. There's a chance of obtaining a legendary. The amount of times I've opened chests, found them through vending machines, or defeated a random enemy, then dropped a random legendary. Not saying it's guaranteed, as you can do a whole playthrough without finding a legendary, but do it anyway, as it's always better to know than not. Since we are on the subject of legendaries, there's also dynamic events throughout its overworld called dynamic rifts. It's literally a huge noticeable bubble to get into at random areas of the map. Once you get into it, there is a boss fight to go through, and once won, you will obtain a reward, which you have to claim in your inventory menu, that gives a 50% chance of obtaining a legendary which is honestly one of the easiest ways to obtain that rarity. Tip number 5, do not underestimate every weapon. Every weapon you find can play differently, even if it says the DPS is lower. Looks can be deceiving as these weapons can cater to your playstyle or benefit with the current build you have, so always give a chance to different weapons. I've changed my loadout so many times and tried so many weapons that weren't my cup of tea, but they did their job and helped me progress much more easily on hard mode. If you are playing the game on hard mode, expect yourself to constantly change your loadout consistently throughout the whole entire game, because the amount of builds that I have already made with certain weapons were insane. So for the 6th tip, this is more so for people who are actually playing on hard mode, is to know your gameplay mechanics. I say the hardest part of the game is really establishing your Vault Hunter with gear that could help you out during the beginning of the game. So grinding the first boss again, Splash Zone, can help you obtain some good loot even if it's not a legendary. Another thing is that you'll find yourself going down or dying a lot, and the reason why it's happening is that you're not optimizing your damage. It is very important to use your action skills to maximize much more damage than usual. Your guns are not gonna save you all the time, as they can only do so much, which is why reading your skill tree is very important so you can progress and level up to approach these battles much more easily. The last thing I want to put out is that there's a lot of tech with the movement and its gunplay. They work hand to hand in these zones, so utilize them to your advantage. I always find myself hopping around the map, and these enemies always have a hard time trying to get me down. The game is really about its momentum, and knowing its movement can help you gain that advantage. Tip number 7, something useful to know. The bank shares weapons between different characters. I'm not sure if this was changed during one of the patch updates, but you're able to share your weapons with your own Vault Hunters by banking them in your storage. This is a good optional feature if you are not feeling your character, and if you want to redo a playthrough with a different character, or just a way for you to not refarm the same weapons you initially wanted for a different character. Note that all banks are usually located in safe houses or home bases. And before we get into my big segment to teach you guys about how to use the user interface of Borderlands 4, one of the last tips is find the vault key pieces. Throughout each biome of the game, there are 3 vault key pieces to find and obtain. Once they are all found, you can unlock a hidden vault where you could take on waves of enemies, and at the end, there is a powerful vault monster to fight against. These are easily missable, as you could complete the entire game without doing this. And I suggest you guys experience it, because it's not just about getting great loot, but it's about experiencing these insane monsters. These were cool fights to get into, and I honestly loved the incentive of exploration to get this whole finale. So my next video will be a little bit of a live video discussing the user interface and how to utilize the map, how to read the UI and everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little, well, I don't know actually how long this segment will be. I hope you guys find the next segment very useful. So hey everyone, this is the segment where I'm going to show you guys how to use basically everything with the user interface, and I'm just going to open up the menu. This is the main menu that you're going to constantly be going through and looking into everything, so which is why I'm literally going to dissect every single little thing to understand when it comes down to this menu. So of course you have your weapons right here. It represents also, like if you're on controller, it represents the D-pad. By the way, I am playing on PC, so you know your button layout if you're on console may be completely different compared to mine. Just letting you guys know, you guys may have to kind of translate that over to console. So if you don't understand necessarily every single thing I'm saying, is just because some stuff kind of operates a little bit differently compared to PC. But anyway, so you have your traditional inventory screen, and every time you press on a weapon, you'll be able to change it. And I think this is where people tend to get overwhelmed, since this is a looter shooter and you collect so many weapons, so many items. There's just a lot of things on screen. As someone who has been playing the Borderlands series for quite some time already, I mean ever since the first game, there are times where I just get tired of, you know, going through all these menus and do a lot of reading, all that sort of stuff. just because of the amount of things that are just so cluttered into my screen. Luckily, the Borderlands 4 team has made it very simple for you to filter out certain weapons, and typically, you know, let's just say if I just picked up a weapon and I'm trying to see it, instead of like scrolling through everything, I just go on recent, and it's going to show what you just currently switched, what you currently switched out, what you haven't yet. So there's that, right? See, this is the weapon I was actually rocking. It's like a low-key, like a AK type weapon with a drum mag. Kind of like it. There's that, right? But I think the only problem here is, and I don't know if there's like actual game settings for here, is that it doesn't default your filter to where you last left it at. It defaults to always at manufacturer, which personally I don't like seeing it like that. I personally like seeing it either on level or recent, since, you know, with recent it is just much easier to kind of keep track of things, especially if it's current. You know, with the recent filter, everything is current, so every time you pick up a weapon or switch it out, it will always be within the top 3 or top 6, right? That's just a little obstacle to kind of get through when it comes to this menu. But also with level, especially when you're constantly leveling up in this game, eventually your weapons will no longer be good. So eventually, over time, with stuff like this, like for example, my legendaries, a few of my legendaries aren't as useful anymore since they're low level because of the damage and all that sort of stuff. So they're all like scaled down here. So if you're always just trying to organize them and you're just trying to drop some weapons or sell them, you could just simply filter out to level, and you could even right click it, or for controller I'm not sure, and you could just you could label it as junk. Here, I'm gonna label this as junk. I'm just gonna get some like random items I don't really use anymore, right? So I'm just gonna label them as junk, right? So they have like this emblem on here, and then some you could label them as like, you could tag them up right here, or tag group 2. So you could tag them with like tag group 2, tag group 3. So you could, there's ways to organize your inventory, which, like I said, I do like about it. I don't usually use my tags. I just, again, always mainly use recent and level, because that's just personally how I go through this UI. And I guess my memory is a little bit on there compared to some people, but yeah, I do recommend you start using this whole tagging system or filtering system, so you guys could be able to be much more organized in your inventory, because you could feel like you lose a lot of things. I also do want to note that there is currently a bug on PC where sometimes the menu does not show literally everything. So if you feel like, oh, I had way more weapons than before, just do a soft reset by just exiting to the main menu and then reload the game. So that's what I usually do. This is how I typically use the weapon slots. I'm not really going to talk about the other slots because you'll unlock them later on throughout the game. Another thing I do want to showcase is this. Now, if you really want to dive in deep into your inventory, it's going to show all your items on here. If you go on to backpack, it's literally right by equipment, right? So I went here on backpack. This is the other tab of the inventory page. What I just described last time, you could just go on here. This is honestly a proper way to organize a lot of your inventory, or whether you want to tag them or do something to them. This is a way to do so. So just letting you guys know about that. They even give much more. See, I don't really use this because gets much more technical with the menu, and I personally don't use it a lot since I'm always on the go. But yeah, like they're even more in depth with the weapons, the shields, with the regenerate, the capacity, like with weapons about damage, crit damage, shot cost, DPS, splash radius, all that sort of stuff, accuracy. And then they even have the ordnance. So they did a lot to consider a lot of life quality changes for the player to go through if you guys really want to go more in depth when it comes to inventory management. Also, by the way, remember, sorry, I'm like all over the place right now, but remember how I literally marked some of my weapons as junk? So if you go to vending machines, or let's say also, sorry, I'm going to add more onto my inventory list. This is like, we're going all over the place right now. My apologies. So I'm gonna like drop a weapon, right? Let's drop like a few. Yeah, we don't need this too. So we're gonna drop that, right? So we just drop, or let's just say in a hypothetical scenario, let's just say you're collecting so many loot on the floor and you have all these weapons and you're not really gonna pick them up. If you're trying to make just easy money and you know you're by a vending machine, you could literally pick up the weapon. You could press, I don't know how it is on console or controller by the way, but on PC I just press Q to take as junk. Loot them so easily, and I go to the vending machine, any of them, and then they'll tell you just press Q to sell the junk. And easy money. You could collect so many weapons like this and earn easy money, especially because there'll be moments where you will be spending some money on the vending machine because sometimes they have interesting weapons, especially legendaries. I've been seeing a lot of legendaries spawn in vending machines, so, and they do cost a lot. I mean, this green weapon already is 126k. So legendaries sometimes be costing like 500k from what I remember, or 400k. So, and that's a lot of money already. I mean, currently I think I almost have like 1 million on me, but still, you still want to be careful with your money. Yeah, I have 1.1 million on me because I barely spend with this save file, but just letting y'all know about that. Also, I forgot to mention, by the way, guys, when you right click something, you could also bank weapons directly from your inventory screen. So we go on here, right? Let's say I want to bank one of my legendaries. So I press bank, and you could constantly do this to any weapon. And then in the bottom right corner of your screen, it'll say send items to the bank. So once you do that, they directly deposit a lot of your legendary items immediately. So that is another way to really manage your inventory. If you want to clear up space without losing your weapons, you could bank them. I forgot to mention about that, my apologies. And then the third tab here is just echo log, so you'll be collecting echo logs throughout the whole entire map. And this is a way to just hear them out. So I just wanted to have a little samples just so you guys can know about that. And again, they have the filtering and all that sort of stuff if you do want to utilize that. But alright, so back to the equipment page. Also, if you go to the bottom left corner, it shows how much ammo you currently have and the ammo capacity for that certain ammo type. And then here you have your currency. It shows your iridium, and then it shows, I think, how much golden keys you have. Golden keys is like a completely different currency that you obtain when you have a shift account. Are they really important to really have? Not really. It's just a nice addition if you want like that little extra loot. And throughout these certain safe houses, or more so like bases, actually at home bases, you'll see like a gold chest that you could open up with the golden key. But again, it's not as necessary, which is why I'm not gonna really talk about the golden keys and stuff. But this is important. This is actually the one that you should be focusing on. The one that says rewards. So every time you complete a mission or some sort of side content, right, throughout the overworld, you should always check this up. So I haven't opened up a lot of this because I was also saving it for stream. But this is all the rewards that you can get from doing contracts, from doing main missions, side content, as you see here, or even challenges, which we'll talk about later. I say this is important because a lot of people don't typically always check their rewards. They tend to forget, or they don't even know it would exist, especially if you're new to the game. So if you've done like Rift events, you'll get this reward where you have a 50% chance. They literally tell you have a 50% chance on obtaining a legendary weapon. So let's open it right now. Oh my god, and we got a legendary right on the spot. Wow, perfect timing for the recording of my for my video. So that's why you should always check this, because you always have a chance, a 50% chance on getting a legendary, right? I mean, it was that simple. You open up your rewards and you have a possibility to get a legendary. They also clearly tell you, obviously you don't want to open up all your rewards. I don't recommend doing this because they literally do not tell you what you have obtained. So I don't recommend you do that. You just obtain your rewards individually so you know what you got, right? Because imagine opening up this and then I just got a legendary. Literally, you're not going to know that. Open them up individually. They literally tell you. and sometimes you could save them, you know, for later on throughout the game, which I personally did just for this video. And I think there's a recent update where the chests, they don't necessarily scale to your level. It, like, whatever level you completed the side content and whenever you receive this reward, it will be scaled to that time of the level you are currently in. So let's go all the way in the bottom. This is probably gonna be like a low level one because I'm currently level 30. Because the one that I just opened, it was like a level 26 legendary. So as you see here, this is a level 22. So that's just proof right now. For those who don't know my level right now, I don't know why they don't show your level on the inventory screen, by the way. That's why the UI gets kind of confused sometimes. But on the bottom left corner, shows my level. I'm level 30. So I just opened up like a level 22. It is not as highly recommended to open up old rewards, especially if, you know, you already leveled up so far ahead, because most likely they're not going to be as valuable unless they're a cosmetics like this. So what's very useful about the UI is that they let you know ahead of time what type of reward you're getting. The only time you should be hesitant on opening up these chests is literally when you don't have enough inventory space. So you just keep them in the chest for now until you clear up your space. But you have to also remember, check up on your rewards and open them immediately. Try to do it as soon as possible, or else it's just going to be a waste if you let it linger too long. Let's actually move on to the map. So this is a new save file. This isn't like my character I initially started, because I started with Amon, right? What's unique about this map is that they tell you what to expect every time you go to these open zone areas, right? So let's say if I were to go here, if I'm exploring here and they mark this, so that's how you know also I've completed these things, because they have a green check mark on them, but they're also highlighted green. So I already did this, but typically stuff like this where it's blue, where's another area that is blue? Yeah, see, like something that's blue here, they're gonna tell you what you're gonna get from it. Like, see, getting this or doing this side mission, they'll tell you you'll just get XP or money over here, and then if you go for this vault, you'll obtain SDU tokens, which we'll talk about later. So they tell you what type of rewards you're gonna get throughout the overworld. So I highly suggest, let's say if you're someone who's really picky when it comes to certain content, always look into what type of content you're getting into, because they really give you incentives on if you should progress here or there, if you want certain rewards in these certain areas. They make it very clear to you, like, hey, this is what to expect. Like, hey, you're gonna get SDU tokens, and there's like an echo log over here to collect. That's really it. And yeah, again, with the side mission, they clearly tell you to get some Iridium, XP, money, and then you're gonna get potentially a 50% chance on getting a purple rarity or a green rarity. So I like how they really organize the map and the UI, just so you know what to expect instead of kind of wasting your time. But I also want to add on when it comes to the vault fragments, because these are the vault key pieces I was talking about. And with the vault key pieces, eventually once you collect all three, you'll be able to open up a whole vault entrance to a whole different dimension, and you'll be fighting again a lot of waves of these enemies, and then at the end the boss is the vault monster, and you have a chance to also get a legendary from the vault monster. Each boss has its own legendary. This is just something completely optional, but I just highly recommend you experience this type of thing, because it's just not only rewards exploration, but the experience itself is really cool to see, especially you're a vault hunter, so do it. If you want to find a lot more of these vault fragments, right? Where else did I find like a vault fragment? Yeah, see, there's another vault fragment here. So if you want to find more of these vault fragments, they will clearly tell you where the vault pieces are. It'll show something like this on the map, where you have to look within this radius to find where the certain piece is. Once you obtain all three, you'll be able to go here and find a vault entrance. Another thing that I almost forgot to mention, if you want to have these sort of markings here like this, if you want to have this type of marking, you need to collect a lot of the, where is it at? trying to showcase something. You need to collect a lot of the safe houses. The safe houses will give intel to your map, and they'll show much more of where these vault pieces are. They literally will mark it for you on the map without you going to these certain locations. So always go to these safe houses and establish them so that you could get all the intel for these vault fragments. But you could still collect them without getting the safe houses. But if you're doing like a whole blind playthrough, collect the safe houses. That's how you'll get all the intel. I'm going to talk about the compass and how the map help each other. More so the map, because the compass barely helps. So see how the compass, they only mark certain things like the side quests or whatever you're tracking to keep it minimal. But this is sort of a problem. They don't really indicate or give you a general direction. It's very vague, to say the least, where certain things are at. Like, it doesn't even show the enemies, right? And compared to my radar, my radar is right telling me that enemies are here, which they're not too far away, honestly. But the compass is not detecting it. So that's already a problem. It doesn't detect certain things far away. So with the vending machine, we're 22 meters away or 30 meters away. So if we back up a bit more, I wonder if it'll disappear. So after like what, over 35 or 40 meters? What the hell? Fortunately, I landed here. So I'm gonna go back up top here. So as you see there, why is that such a big issue? Because if you're trying to go to certain places, and especially if you're looking for something, it's not gonna tell you until you reach a certain amount of meters to it. Especially when you're always, this is an open world game, so you're constantly going everywhere. Let's just say you're fighting a boss and you didn't even know that there was a legendary coming out from the boss after defeating him, right? And typically, again, if you're by a legendary, the compass will tell you, right? So 5 meters away, there's like a legendary. But if you're a bit far away and you kind of beat the boss, you shot some distance from him and defeat him from a certain meter, they're not gonna tell you that the legendary is here. Unless they change that? Oh, no, they did not change it. So, yeah, like I said, over 42 meters or 41, you're not going to see it. Or 44 meters. Over 43 meters, you're not going to see it. And that's going to be a bit of a problem, especially within these zones. Some maps could be big, and you're not going to notice it. And there's no other way to kind of fix this issue, unfortunately. But there are ways to kind of navigate throughout the world without, so that you can mark things on your compass. And that's just simply by marking certain POIs or items or just your waypoints. So let's just go here, pull up the reflection. And here, it'll give us that general distance. It'll say 200 meters away. This is where you marked, and you could go over here. I don't know how it is on controller, but simply creating waypoints for your compass it's the much more easier way for you to navigate throughout the world with getting the intel that you need. I wish honestly they had the mini-map, a detailed mini-map, so we have more information on screen every time we're traveling. But this is honestly the only way as of right now of this recording, where you're constantly going through the map and checking out your compass or updating your compass. Why you should do some certain side content is because the reason why these upgrades are so important is because it upgrades your ammo capacity. So sometimes some weapons could be very, very annoying to carry because it does not have enough ammo, but it needs a lot of ammo. So most cases like SMGs, they always need a lot of ammo on them. Once you're out of ammo and you're relying on like a SMG for your damage, it's gone, and you have to rely on other weapons that are not as, let's just say, reliable. There's so many variations in this game, just letting you guys know. So there's a lot of things that have different scenarios, but I'm just saying it's just always best to be prepared and be able to collect as much ammo as you can. So keep that in mind. And then also with bank, this is what I was talking about earlier. So when it comes down to the bank, I'll show it later as well because it's at base. Bank is something where you're allowed to store a lot of your weapons. So if you want to keep them, especially the legendaries, keep them at the bank. Then you get to upgrade your backpack capacity. So if you get kind of limited on your storage, on collecting all these weapons, you can always upgrade your backpack. And then with lost loot, which I will show later, how lost loot operates is pretty much if you literally lost a whole spawn, a certain spawn of your weapon, or you can't find a weapon anymore around the area, because sometimes there's situations where you could lose your loot, where it either despawns or it falls off the map somehow. You could always check the lost loot. It'll take some time, but the lost loot will always be able to get these special items back. So it's up to you if you like to utilize it. I barely use it. I usually just constantly upgrading a lot of my weapons and my backpack. So that's honestly it. I'm not really going to talk about customization. It's pretty straightforward. You get to customize your characters in the game, and then you get to also customize like a lot of the colors. And then you get to change up how your echo looks like. Have its own paint job as well. And then also, you get to change up what type of camo your weapon could have. When it comes down to the missions, like I said, you have your filters, the name. I mean, I don't think you would be collecting a lot of the missions, right? Typically, I'm always finishing off the missions, but let's just say you are stacked with so many missions, you're able to filter them. Pretty self-explanatory, just like how the whole UI is. They tell you what to expect and what you'll obtain when it comes to the rewards. This is challenges. This is what I was talking about. Let's say if you complete a challenge, you will obtain a reward when doing some. These challenges, you'll progress these much more passively than doing it on purpose. I mean, of course, you could go for these challenges and complete them. There's different levels in each challenge. So the first level, you're not going to get certain rewards other than the XP, money, and iridium. But as you see on the level 3, because I only did the level 1, it's marked blue. So level 3, I'm going to get a cosmetic skin for my Echo device. And then for level 5, I'm going to get another cosmetic skin for my Echo device. Or my Echo 4. There is some incentive to do challenges. Again, I wouldn't stress about this unless you really want the rewards. I mean, here on level 3, I get like a new cosmetic for my Vault Hunter. Just letting y'all know about this sort of stuff. Especially if you're a completionist, I guess this is actually really important. And here on contracts, I didn't get any, which I'm gonna actually, so that I can show you guys. So safe houses or home bases, there's like a bounty board, and you could get these contracts. These are more so part of like passive side content to do. Some they're not as serious to pick up, to be honest, but it's a way to make money. I also forgot to talk about this. This is replay. There's a replay tab under the missions section, and they'll give like a green icon to say it's replayable, and then they'll tell you in the bottom corner to replay the mission. So some side missions or main missions are replayable, but they will literally tell you like something like this, you can't replay it, whatever this mission was. They'll literally categorize what's non-replayable, what is replayable. And, you know, sometimes it sucks because there has been like a bug when I was playing co-op with my cousin, and we were trying to replay a mission where the bug did just not let us experience this one mission. When we reloaded our game, it just completed on its own without seeing like the ending. We were unable to play it, unfortunately, or replay it. So not every single mission is replayable, and for whatever reason, if you want to replay a mission, they allow you to, which is a very nice feature, by the way. Now back to the inventory screen. We're gonna go on the skills tab. Now I'm not gonna go in depth about the gameplay mechanics and the skills. Maybe that may be for a video, or you guys are probably really familiar with it. What I do want to point out is that all skill trees stack together. So as you see here, I have 17 points invested into this green skill tree. But then I have 10 skill points in the red skill tree, and then I have 2 skill points invested in the blue skill tree. What's interesting, because later down the line, I know I didn't really talk about the other tabs here. When you progress much more into the game, when you reach a certain level, you'll start seeing loot that involves class mods. So I have a legendary class mod on me, and where you see the +1, the +3, +1, +2, that's the amount of skill points inputted into that certain skill tree. So these skill points are inputted into the blue skill tree. And even though I barely invested, as you see here, it doesn't say it's active on here since it's not highlighted compared to my pulse drive skill, they still count as skills. So even though all my points, most of my points are invested in the red and green, the points that were inputted into the blue skill tree are actually active. Because as you see here, they literally tell you, and even show a picture here, there's a +2 from the class mod, there's a +1 from the class mod, another +1, and another +3, and this really helps out your build. So the class mods from a completely different skill tree is so useful, especially if you invested in another skill tree or the 2 other skill trees, even though they are not active. So I just want to let you guys know, all of them stack together, which is why for this Harlow build I'm currently working on, I'm making sure that I'm reading and looking into what points I can invest in for certain skills, which is honestly great. I love how this is actually a thing. They also tell you if you're going for a certain amount of skills that currently isn't as reachable just yet, they tell you how many points you need to invest in for a certain skill tree branch or wherever on how many you need to put in. So if I put in, let's say I'm trying to go for the critical funding, right? They say you need 3 more points. So I'm going to heavily invest into this one. This passive. I'm going to put 3 more points and eventually it will upgrade here. So the same thing applies for the other skill trees if you're trying to aim for other skills and whatnot. Just letting you guys know about that when it comes down to the skill tree. I know this whole little guide video, well, not really a little guide video, but this guide video I know was kind of a mess and a little bit unorganized, but I hope you guys kept up. So typically in home bases, you know that you're in like a home base or you're in a town because they'll show 3 houses on here, right? So here we're at like a faction town, the launch pad, which is also how I considered a base, right? Because in Carcadia, oh, it's not marked here because I haven't necessarily explored that with this character yet, but they'll show like 3 houses at certain locations of the map, and that means when you see the 3 houses, oh hey look, there's something in here. Oh, it's not class mod for me. Typically you'll be provided, you know, the lost loot machine, which is what I was talking about earlier when it comes down to finding certain loot, or making the machine find your loot, your lost loot, literally. If they fall off a map or they glitched out somehow, maybe it'll end up in here somehow. This is the gold chest I was talking about, you know, when it comes down to the golden key. And then you have a Respec skills machine, which I will talk about very soon. So over here, this is the bank where you store your weapons. You have access to it. And I just want to let you guys know, this is my second character that I created. And if I did not create my second character, I wouldn't know about this, but you're able to share a lot of your weapons with each other for each and every character. My first character was Amon, and a lot of these legendaries were collected by Amon. I just stashed them in here. So when I checked out my bank again as Harlow, I'm a level 30, so the fact that this is like a level 41, I found this interesting because this really saves a lot of your time and farming, a lot of like you grinding a lot. It kind of cuts off the grind a bit just so you don't have to stress on getting certain weapons. So there's that. Okay, god damn it. So, okay, sorry guys. I had to redo this clip because I accidentally respec my entire skill tree. So I had to just prepare so you guys, no one could get confused. Anyway, so you go to the respec skill machine and they'll tell you to pay like portion of what you currently have. You'll have options to what you could respect. So if you press respect tree or respect all, it'll literally reset all the skill points here. Let's just say if you have other skills, it won't respect the other skills that are in the other skill tree. So you have to do that manually. Just letting you guys know about this, because I know some people could be unhappy with the current skills that they're currently working with. This is why I'm showcasing something like this, because over time you probably want to have a completely different build and you want to change up your playstyle, and there is no punishment to always change. The only thing that you get punished for is your money. You'll constantly be spending, but anything else you'll be completely fine. You could always change it whenever you have the time. So I think that wraps up everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You find everything very useful. Remember, drop a like, hype up the video, and subscribe, especially if you like variety of content such as Borderlands, and I also cover different video games. So thank you so much for all the support. I do want to share the love to the newcomers out there that are bound to play this game. I hope you find this video informative and you could come into this game with some confidence and know what you're doing. If you have any other tips, feel free to share in the comment section down below. But like I said, thank you for all the love and support. I'm out, and I'll see y'all in the future. Peace.